How's it going, everyone? This is John with Siemens Electro-Matic Tech Support Group, and today I'm going to show you how to make a hardware config for a S7-315 PLC with some distributed I/O and a G120 drive and an HMI. We're just going to go over how to build up the hardware config and how to do some simple addressing, and we'll have more topics in future videos. So first we need to open up S7-Matic Manager. Mine's listed in my start menu here, but if it's not for you, just type in S7-Matic Manager. All right, I'm going to create a new project. Now with demo selected in the project tree, I'm going to right click in the field, insert new object, S7-Matic 300 station. I like to have my work area viewed in the detail mode, so I'm going to click on that. I'm going to open up the S7-Matic 300 station and go into the hardware config. Once there, I'm going to open up the S7-Matic 300 CPU series in the hardware catalog and drag and drop a rail. This will give me a table to put my central rack components on, but I'm only going to get a PLC for right now. I've got a 315-2 PNDP. This is the part number for my processor. I'm going to go ahead and select the latest firmware version. I'm not going to have a Profinet network, so I'm going to skip this. By double-clicking on the X1 port of the PLC, it's the MPI/DP connector, I'm going to go ahead and configure my Profibus network. Really don't care about the name, so I'll let it automatically name it, and I like my PLC address too. That's fine. So click OK, and I can see that my Profibus bus line has been added to my hardware config. So now I'm going to make my ET200S racks. ET200S racks are under the Profibus DP category. I can see ET200S, and I've got this particular head module, 6E7-151-1AA050AB0. So I'll go ahead and drag and drop that onto my bus. Now I'm just going to add a very simple rack, one digital input card, one digital output card, and also I'm going to add my power module. Okay, so I'm going to change the Profibus address of this. I'd like it to be 3. I'm going to have 1 for my HMI. So I'll go into Object Properties, click Profibus, change the address from 1 to 3. So I'm going to worry about the addressing later. I'd also like to make basically 5 copies of this. So I'm just going to highlight it, Control-C, and then click on the bus line and paste 5 copies. One, two, three, four, 5, one more. Press F4 to auto arrange this, clean up my view. Now here are my 6 ET200S racks. So now I'd like to address these. The first thing I'm going to do to address them is open up my PLC, and I like to have the system clock running. So I'm going to enable my system clock. It's going to take up memory byte 0. Also, to give myself a little bit of room, I'm going to raise the size of the process image area from 128. I'm just going to go ahead and make it 512. That's all I'm going to change in here for right now. So now I'm going to address my ET200S racks. Starting at the first one, I'd like to start my addresses at 100 and then just work up through my 6 racks. So I select my first ET200X rack from the hardware config. Then I double click on the input card and go to the address tab and just type in my first address. Do the same thing for the output card and for the rest of the ET200S racks. So I kind of messed up there with my output addressing on the second rack, but it's okay now.
Doesn't Scott Doyle know what to get in terms of software and app upgrades? You need to know what version, what level of software you need to know.
Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop my drive. My G120 is under Dynamics. I've got a G120 CU240E-2DP. I'm going to use the default settings for everything, firmware 4.7, and it communicates on IO address 256. You can change this address by double-clicking and typing whatever you want, but I'm going to keep it 256. Okay, so now I'd like to take a quick look and see how much memory I'm using and if it's inside or outside of my process image area that I set to 512. And to do that, go to View and Address Overview. And here you can see a list of all the IO addressing that you're using in your process image area. So it looks like I'm using 100 to 105, which is okay, and 256, which is all below 512, so that's no problem. Same thing for the outputs. I look good. I'll save and compile this hardware config and now add my HMI. For this project, I'm going to add an MP377. So I make sure that my project is selected in the project tree, right click in the field, insert new object, S7-315 HMI. Select the MP377, click OK. Okay, so now I'll highlight my S7-315 HMI station and double click on configuration to open its hardware config. This will be on Profibus, so I'll double click on the Profibus port, select Profibus from the drop down, click on properties and select the Profibus network that I've already configured. Now it automatically assigned it to address 10, but I want to put it on address 1. I'll save and compile that. Now I'm going to open up NetPro. NetPro is a quick utility. You can do a lot of stuff in NetPro, but primarily I use it for visualization of my network. So I've got a HMI and PLC here. So it looks like everything is connected. So what I'm looking for here is to make sure that I have a drop from my Profibus network to each one of my nodes. Here are my 6 ET200S racks, my G120 drive, my HMI, and my PLC. This looks good. I'm going to close this down without saving anything. I'm also done here. So now I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of quick calls in a program for different addresses. So the way you would address these ET200S racks is just simply by addressing the process image area of the PLC. The first ET200S rack was input byte 100, so it's bits 100.0 to 100.7. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at the first input bit. Now, I'd like to edit the symbol for this right now. Let's say that this is station 1, button 1. Okay, so now what I've done is I've made a symbolic reference for that I/O bit in the process image area. This will help me in programming later, it makes my code more human readable. So now I'm going to say when station 1, button 1 is pressed, I'm going to turn on the output. Let's make it the last ET200S rack's first output. So that's Q105.0. Do the same thing and edit this symbol. Let's say this is status station 1 status light green. There we go. That's good. Okay. All right. So now I have symbols for my I/O points, and as I go ahead and program the rest of my program, I can go ahead and build this symbol table up. Okay, and go ahead and save this. Now, if I want to look at all my symbols, I can go to my project tree. Underneath the PLC, go to the Programs folder. There's a symbol table. Double-click on that, and I can see that those symbols I created are now in my symbol table. Additionally, if I want to see what sort of memory areas I've used in a more visual style, I can select the Blocks folder, right-click, go to Reference Data, display it. I want my assignments for this. And I can see here that I've used input byte 100 bits 0 and 1 and output byte 100 bit 1, and it also looks like memory byte 0 is called up here for the clock memory area. So this looks good. In future videos we'll show you how to do some more addressing as well as sending data to the drive and how to do some controls with the HMI.